You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to The Lyndia Grant Show. It is Friday, April 17th. The weather is beautiful. We are just having a marvelous time. We have to ignore what's going on with politics. That's why we have Dr. Gilliam on here to tell us what's going on with that. We just going on with our lives and praying and hoping everything going to work out. So, but our second guest today is a rerun that I love so much. Dorothy Gilliam, the first Black woman who worked for the Washington Post. She did the show years ago, but she's promoting her new book. So I hope that you all will enjoy my second guest. Let's go now to Dr. Julia Malvo to catch us up on politics. Dr. J, go ahead.
Absolutely, Lyndia. And I'm so glad you're having Dorothy Gilliam on. She is definitely a role model and an idol of mine. I appreciate her so much. So thank you for doing that. Mm-hmm. For the past 2 weeks, Congress has been on their little long vacations that most Americans don't get. But now they're back. They came back on Tuesday, and they came back. I want to know why they came back. Did they come back to govern, or did they come back to argue? Because they haven't made any progress on this budget. So even though TSA is getting paid by executive order, that part of government has not been funded. So there's a whole lot of unfinished business. And among that unfinished business is the drama of two members of Congress who are likely, by the time this airs, it's Tuesday, the time this airs on Friday, they may both have resigned. One, of course, is Eric Swalwell from California. He's from the Bay Area. He had multiple accusations of sexual improprieties, including an accusation of rape. He was running for governor of California, and he was a front runner. But first, Nancy Pelosi and those told him he couldn't run for governor, not with that hanging over his head. So first, he suspended his gubernatorial campaign, and now is rumored, it has not happened yet as of Tuesday evening, but it's rumored that he will be resigning from Congress. It's all over the media. A young lady who accuses him of rape has been on the air. She was on CNN today, Tuesday. The other, of course, is Tony Gonzalez. He was the one who had an affair with one of his staffers, and the woman, Republican from Texas, and the woman set herself on fire and killed herself.
Wow.
And yes, it's just a horrible situation. And it's rumored that he also will resign, although there's terminology of whether he's going to resign or retire, and that has financial implications for him. But anyway, this is one of the first things that Congress will be dealing with. Both Swalwell and Gonzalez will potentially have seen expulsion votes. They will be expelled from Congress if they don't resign. But this is still up in the air. We can't report on anything that hasn't happened yet. But we will say that this Congress, coming back from vacation, has some thorny issues to deal with. They got big issues and, of course, little resolution. As I said earlier, are they here to govern or are they here to argue? Lil Mike Johnson is following the president's lead. And so he basically has sent them on vacation. He's done all kinds of things. But we'll be watching this Congress very, very, very carefully. Well, here's what we know, Lyndia, and it's really a tragedy. We're governing paycheck to paycheck. Nobody wants to live paycheck to paycheck. Some of us have had to do that in the past, but this is governing paycheck to paycheck. I'll just leave it there. All of our listeners can think about what that means, governing paycheck to paycheck. We're looking at crisis after crisis, averting crisis after crisis. It really does not make any sense at all. And while we're dealing with problems and challenges at home, let's look abroad. Let's look at what's going on in terms of Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and the talks that J.D. Vance, vice president, left the talks late last week saying we can't come to any conclusion. But now the president wants to backslide and get back to the table. He said, oh, well, we're not sure. Maybe we'll talk some more. What he's really saying is he bluffed up. I said blunt Christians. There's no exit ramp to this. They've said Iran has to say they won't dabble in nuclear weapons for 20 years. They coming back and say, well, maybe 5. See, we were better off before we invaded. The undeclared war has had negative consequences for the American people. The president has said most recently he wants to boycott the Strait of Hormuz. That's a very narrow area. Right now, they have over 200 ships backed up. It would take them months to clear all those ships that have essential products. So basically, the president has called for a naval blockade, and some ships have been turned back. But this has global economic implications. Um, there's an active military action there. Repeat that, Lyndia. Active military action. Trump wants Hormuz open and toll free. Other people are saying, I don't know about that. But he's escalating. He's escalating. Not only is our Navy there blockading, but we have ground action as well, minor ground action, but ground action nonetheless. The escalation leaves all of us, Americans, in an uncertain place. But that's really the theme for this president and this action is uncertainty. And the problem with that is that we'll see it. We'll see it not only at the gas pump, which I'm going to talk about for a second, but we'll also see it throughout the economy because gas is not the only place that we need fuel. You know, it's international shipping and so many other things. So it leads to basically global instability and local inflation. When this action started, this war, let's just call it what it is, the war started at the end of February. We're looking at pump prices of about $2.98 a gallon, maybe $3. Now we're looking at $4.15 a gallon. So the gas prices are up by $1 a gallon. Now, since I don't drive, it doesn't mean much to me, but it will because Lyft is talking about, adding surcharges. But for the person who's commuting between San Francisco and DC and Baltimore, that's a heavy lift, an extra $1 a gallon. So we're going to see that in terms of inflation. We're going to see it, not only at the pump, we're going to see it at other places as well. Let me move quickly to the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate, we're seeing job growth, but the question is what kind of growth? The overall unemployment rate is 4.3%. The Black unemployment rate about 7%. But when we look at behind the scenes, what we're looking at is more and more people who have part-time jobs plus full-time jobs are juggling multiple part-time jobs. At least 5% of the labor market, about 9 million people, have more than one job just to make ends meet. So this is partially, we can't blame this all on Iran, but certainly the uncertainty, the Iran situation escalates the uncertainty. Now, as you know, Lyndia, we have so much news, but I always like to end my time with you with something that's a little bit lighter. So I want to lift up Victor J. Glover. He was the pilot on the Artemis 2, the space shuttle.
Yay.
And what I loved about this brother so much is that he was so humble. He was so clear. He said, we stand on shoulders. And his dad was on CNN. His dad was, very, very well spoken, which what would we expect? Just really brilliant and exuded pride of his son, which really kind of has to make you smile when you see a parent, lifting their child up that way. But before Victor J. Glover, of course, he mentioned these people. There was Gilliam Luford, who was the first Black man in space in 1983. Is it 83 or 85? I can't read my own writing. There was Ron McNair, Dr. Ron McNair, who was at MIT at the same time I was. He was killed in the space shuttle, but he went up in space. And then, of course, we have Mae Jemison, who went up, first Black woman to go into space in 1992, and was on some of the chat shows talking about what the challenges are in going into space. So we've got all kind of craziness.
It was wonderful to watch her. She was good. Yeah.
She was. But we got all kind of craziness on Earth, but we got some beautiful things going on in space. So I just wanted to, like I said, when I'm with you for a little time, when you give me a little time, I always want to end with something positive or something cultural. And I think that Victor J. Glover, we call his name again, Victor J. Glover, made the point that we all need to make when we go to high places. He was not alone. He was standing on shoulders. Others paved the way for him. He was very gracious about that. Everybody doesn't say that. And so we just really want to be clear that Victor J. Glover, and I keep calling his name because I don't want anybody to forget it, that Victor J. Glover was a prince and a pilot. A prince and a pilot. And Essence Magazine has a tribute out to him on their website and perhaps in the next issue. But we just want to celebrate him. And let's not forget, though, folks, there's a lot going on, but guess what? We can make a difference. I hope that anybody, the sound of my voice, is registered to vote. Please don't tell me if you're not, because I don't want to hear it. I hope that everybody understands the role we play in a situation that we're in now. I'm not blaming Republicans. The kids say life be lifing. I'm not blaming Republicans for Republican in. That's not a word, but I just made it up. But I'm blaming people who stayed home. Stayed home and who are now running around whining and crying, and we didn't vote for the other. You didn't vote. So, folks, do your civic duty, and we can avoid more drama. There is drama everywhere in this country, and uncertainty does not serve us at all. Thank you, Lyndia, for giving me the opportunity today to go on a little longer.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Dr. Julian Malvo. We are so happy that you were here with us today. And I don't want us to talk about it, but I did want to mention the president and that picture he did of himself. Let's don't talk about it because we'll use up too much time trying to act like he's God or Jesus or whoever I don't know, saint, anybody. So anyway, thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. We're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be back in a moment. And in our second half, we're going to hear from Dorothy Gilliam, the first Black woman who worked at the Washington Post. Back in a moment.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington Informer religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. In lectures on brotherhood, Ms. Parks often said, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired. But that wasn't true. I was not tired physically. I was not old. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in." Driven out of Montgomery by harassment and death threats, Detroit, Michigan became her new home. Rosa Parks will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Raised in the AME church, she once said, "I remember finding such comfort and peace while reading the Bible."
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it, be inspired.
All right. Well, I want to say welcome to Dorothy Gilliam. She's a history maker. Welcome to the show, Miss Gilliam. I'm so glad you're here with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me here, and I'm looking forward to being on the show with you today.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to tell them a little bit about you. I went to your History Maker page, and everybody tell me don't say too much so you can give folks time to talk. So I edited it down. But things that I thought I wanted people to know. First of all, she's from Memphis, Tennessee. She's from a family of 10 children, and only 5 of them survived. I thought that was important. She's college educated. She began her work as a typist for the Louisville Defender, and at age 17, she became the society editor while she was in college. In 1957, while working for the Tri-State Defender, Dorothy Gilliam covered the integration of Little Rock, where she met an editor from Jet magazine. You see how it's like stair-step, one thing lead to another. And she got hired by Jet magazine as an associate editor. And that probably might have not seemed as big then as it is today. After graduating, she traveled to Africa, and when she returned, she was offered a job at the Washington Post. She had a lot of things happen in between. I'm just hitting a few of the high points. Her Post experience was a two-parter. She left to be with her family. She was at the Post for like 5 or 6 years, then she left to be with her family, returned again, and stayed for more than 30 years. So that's how she became known as the first female African-American that was full-time and worked for the Washington Post. And I enjoyed reading some of the stories of the struggles because it was so many years ago, and the racism that she had to endure. Dorothy Gilliam served as the president of the National Association of Black Journalists from 1993 to 95. Dorothy, tell us your story in your own words, and we want to talk about your book at the end of the interview.
Okay. Well, as you said, I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, the daughter of a minister, and he was moved to Louisville, Kentucky when I was 5 years old. So I really came of age in Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the segregated South, but I grew up in a very, loving and nurturing family and nurturing situation in my community and my school. So it was I in so many ways I was prepared for the challenges I would later find by, my faith in God that was really nurtured when I was so young. And it was a surprise to me when I got a job as a secretary at the Louisville Defender, and one day the editor told me, I want you to go out and cover a society story because the society editor is ill. Uh-huh. So I was 17 and shocked.
See, that was God doing his work for you, shaping your life, wasn't he?
Right. God is so good. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing quite a bit of writing quite a bit of stories for the Louisville Defender. But I wanted to go away and major in journalism because I was attending a Catholic women's college in Louisville. Mm-hmm. I had been one of 8 black young ladies who integrated that college called Ursuline College. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to actually get accepted at Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri. Mm-hmm. And when I graduated, I was really ready to start my career. And my first job was at the Tri-State Defender in Memphis, Tennessee. And what happened there was I was really very much a rookie. I was 20 years old, and my boss went to Little Rock to actually cover the integration of Central High School.
The Little Rock Nine, that's right.
That's right, that's right. But he was brutally beaten. My boss was brutally beaten by the white mob gathered around Central High School. They thought, these black journalists, they thought they were parents of the black kids who were trying to get into the school. So they turned on them, and they turned on the journalists. So I was able to actually go to the integration of Little Rock and spend some time. I was not the lead reporter at all, but after I worked at Jet, and that was quite a thrilling experience for a young woman from Louisville, Kentucky. I decided I really wanted to go into daily journalism, and I had been working for weekly papers. In the weekly magazine, of course, but I really wanted to go into journalism for a daily paper, and I was eventually able to get into Columbia University, and that is where, at the end of my graduate studies, an editor from the Washington Post came and interviewed me, and he said, "Well, we're interested in you, but you don't have any experience. Get some experience at a small daily, and then come back." But he said, if you ever happen to be in Washington, come by the Washington Post and meet our managing editor. Well, I just happened to be in Washington that summer because I was going to Africa for 2 months. And we were having our orientation in Washington. So I went by and met the managing editor, and he asked why I was there, and I told him. And he was fascinated that, this young black woman is getting ready to go off to Africa, and not many people were doing that in 1961. But I had gotten a scholarship to a program called Operation Crossroads Africa, where it was started by a black minister from Harlem. And he really became the precursor for the Peace Corps, because he would send groups of American college students or recent graduates, and we'd work with equal numbers of Africans, and there'd be some, real cross-cultural understanding. And so I was the Post asked me to send them some stories back from Africa, and of course I did. And then when I came back to the States, I was offered a job at the Washington Post.
Oh, man,
so I became the first black woman reporter at the Washington Post.
Yes, and did it for more than 30 years.
Yes, but I tell you, those early days were really challenging because, Washington was a very, very segregated city.
Yes, the first black woman, too,
very few African Americans were working in downtown. The Post was located at 15th and L. That was, I would stand on the corners and try to hail cabs to go on my assignments to get my story, and they kind of slow down until they got close enough to see my brown face, and then they'd hit the accelerator.
Amazing. And it's interesting. It seems like it's not that far, that long ago.
Then there were times when I was mistaken for a maid. I went to cover one story, and the doorman said, the maid's entrance is in the back. You can't come in the front. So, there were those kind of things. Some of the colleagues that I work with inside the building, when they saw me on the street, they pretended they didn't know me. And this is just a sense of where that whole white supremacy and also where just what segregation had done and where so many mindsets were. But, I couldn't come back to the office and complain about the things that I was going through because I know
you didn't have any listening ears there.
If I had come back in those early years and complained about the problems I was facing, I don't know when they would have hired another black woman.
Exactly.
And so there was no way.
And that's why your book is deservedly called Trailblazer, because you worked so hard and blazed a trail for us. Because I read in your history maker story about even when you all traveled in different places, sometimes you couldn't go in a hotel. You had to stay with a relatives, because
right.
like Lena Horne and all of them.
Traveling in the South, when the Post sent me to Mississippi to cover the integration of the University of Mississippi, we are all so thrilled with James Meredith, this one black man who was determined to integrate, the University of Mississippi. And Mississippi was a lynching state. It was horrible, and but he was willing to take that chance because he was determined to integrate this bastion of white supremacy. And so he, that when I went to cover it, though, there were no hotels in Oxford for black people. Mm-hmm. The white reporters from the Post stayed at a very nice motel. Mm-hmm. So I stayed at a funeral home because that was the only place I could find to stay.
Isn't that something?
I went to the funeral home asking if they could tell me about maybe a black family or something where I could stay, but they said, well, you can stay here. So I said, I don't mind sleeping with the dead.
But did anybody else stay with you?
They're not going to bother me,
right? Did they leave? Wait a minute. Let me just clear this up. Did they leave one of them with you?
No, I stayed in the room by myself.
Oh, Lord bless you.
Yes.
Bless you. You definitely deserve
but
everything.
I got a good story.
I bet.
We got to get the book. I want the book. I want it.
I hope you get the book.
Yes,
pick up a copy.
Tell people where to get it, because that is, we don't have much time, but I want to make sure they know how to get Trailblazer.
You can get it on Amazon, or you can get it at any bookstore.
Okay.
But Amazon is very quick, as you know.
Yes,
okay. I hope they will get it. It took me many years to write the book, so I'm so thrilled that it's being well received.
And it's called Trailblazer, you all. Dorothy Gilliam, the first African American female to work for the Washington Post, and we are so proud of her today. And we thank you for being our guest today, Dorothy Gilliam.
Well, I thank you so much for having me, and you do a great show. I watch you. I don't watch you. I listen to you regularly. So
thank you. You said it right.
Show.
God, it's got me headed towards TV too. You never know, right?
That's right.
It's out there.
I might have just prophesied.
Thank you. You did, and we received that.
Speak it into being.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Gilliam.
Thank you for joining us.
Words, thoughts, and deeds have a boomerang effect. So be careful what you send out. Scripture says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So think on these things from the Lyndia Grant Show. I'm your host, encouraging everyone to pick up a copy of Dorothy Gilliam's book entitled Trailblazer. Go to Amazon. And I'm closing out with my co-host, Pat Kennedy.
Also, I think we want to remind them to check out Cherry Blossom Intimates for
Definitely.
anyone that has a need. Listen to our show. It will be posted on Facebook, and to get more information on that.
All right. Until next week, good day.
Good day.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.